Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Friday, February the 24th, 2023. Continue to look at the gospel reading from last Sunday that was taken from Matthew 16 and 17. We're going to kind of go back to the beginning in these last 2 days, today and tomorrow. And that whole important question that Jesus asked, who do people say that I am? And they had a variety of answers: Elijah, the prophets, John the Baptist. And then Jesus kind of put them on the spot and said, well, but who do you say that I am? And of course, Peter was the one who spoke up and he said, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. Who is Jesus is a question that we continue to ask and answer to this day. Story is told about a little boy who came home from Sunday school and his mother asked, who was your teacher? And the little boy replied, I don't know her name, but she must have been Jesus's grandmother because all she did was talk about him. People can't stop talking about Jesus 2,000 years later. Gregory of Nazianzus, who was the 4th century Archbishop of Constantinople and a noted theologian of that time, once said this: he began his ministry by being hungry, and yet he's the bread of life. Jesus entered his earthly ministry by being thirsty, yet he's the living water. Jesus was weary, yet he is our rest. Jesus paid tribute, yet he is our king. Jesus was accused of having a demon, yet he cast out demons. Jesus wept, and yet he wipes away our tears. Jesus was sold for 30 pieces of silver, yet he redeemed the whole world. Jesus was brought as a lamb to the slaughter, yet he is the good shepherd. Jesus died, yet by his death he destroyed the power of death. In a similar way, someone once said this: Jesus had no servants, yet they called him master. He had no degree, yet they called him teacher. Had no medicines, yet they called him healer. Had no army, yet kings feared him. Won no military battles, yet he conquered the world. He committed no crime, yet they crucified him. He was buried in a tomb, and yet he lives today. There's a story told about an old seminary professor who was well known for his unusual and insightful gimmicks that he would use in his teachings, and all the students look forward to them every day. And one day he asked the class to take out a piece of paper, draw a picture of someone that they would like to throw a dart at. And then he would assemble the pictures on the wall and then give everyone a dart and allow them to throw them at the pictures of their enemies. So each one thought of those who had wounded them, who betrayed them, some person they never liked. One by one, they joyfully went to the big white wall and taped their pictures of their hated foes onto it. And then one by one, they took turns throwing darts at those pages that bore the images of those whom they despised. Some threw with passion and laughter as they tore open the paper, cutting the pictures of the faces of these people, deforming them so that they were hardly recognizable, relishing in their accomplishments. Then after the last dart had been thrown, the last injury to those faces had been endured, the last derogatory remark had been uttered about those, again, whom the students despised, the professor pulled down from the wall the wallpaper that was now severely damaged by the darts that had been hurled at it. And behind those ruptured pictures and that damaged wallpaper was a picture of Jesus on the cross, now badly torn, filled with holes from the darts that had been hurled, filled with the marks and bruises and tears and wounds from the darts those seminary students had caused. In their shock, these Christian men and women listened to the professor read aloud from 2 passages. Inasmuch as you've done it to the least of these, you have done it to me. And then, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Sam Bronfman was the CEO of the Seagram Company, one of the largest distillers of alcoholic beverages in the world. And one day he entered a crowded conference room. He was anxious to get on with the meeting, so he plopped down at the nearest chair. And one of his assistants immediately said, "No, Mr. Bronfman, you're supposed to sit at the head of the table." Young man replied, "Mr. Bronfman, wherever I sit is the head of the table." He was making it very clear that he was in charge no matter where he sat. In a greater way, even, the same thing is true with Jesus. Wherever he happens to be, he's in charge. Wherever he goes, he's the boss. Who is Jesus? We all have to ask and answer that question and ponder it, even if we've answered it before. many times before. To ask and answer it anew is probably a good thing, to think about who he was, who we are, and who we are called to be through him. Well, we'll be back with you tomorrow for one more day of daily devotions this week. Hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.